What's up, F1 family? First, I want to give a massive shout out to all our incredible friends who are with us in the comments section on YouTube. Your support keeps this channel alive, and we see every single one of your messages. Now, before we dive into what might be the most shocking Ferrari story of the season, let me be crystal clear about something. People keep calling us Lewis fanboys, but here's the truth. We are both Tifosi and Lewis Hamilton supporters. We bleed Ferrari red, but we absolutely cannot stand Ferrari's management, and here's why that matters more than ever. After 2 decades of Ferrari having all the power, all the resources, all the decision-making authority, they're still struggling. We're standing at the edge of the 2026 regulation changes, and honestly, we're doing the needful by calling out this sacred Ferrari management because someone has to. What happened at Silverstone wasn't just a bad race, it was a complete systematic failure that reveals something terrifying about Ferrari's future. Nico HULKENBERG celebrations. But before we dive into Ferrari's nightmare, we absolutely have to celebrate something incredible. Nico HULKENBERG just achieved the impossible at Silverstone, his first F1 podium after 239 races and 5,593 days of waiting. Starting from 19th place, this legend climbed through the field with perfectly executed Sauber strategy to finish 3rd. That's not just a record for longest wait for a podium, that's a testament to never giving up. Nico, you absolute legend, this podium was 15 years in the making, and you deserved every single second of it. Now let's talk about why Ferrari couldn't capitalize on a race where a driver starting 19th made the podium. Here's what nobody is talking about. Lewis Hamilton went from FP1 leader to calling Ferrari the most difficult car I've driven in these conditions. Think about that for a second. The 7-time world champion, who's driven in monsoons, who's mastered every condition imaginable, is telling the world that Ferrari built him a car so bad he can't even control it in the wet. But that's nothing compared to what happened during the race itself. Ferrari's GPS system, their basic navigation tool, failed after just 10 laps. 10 laps! They were making strategy calls completely blind, not even knowing where Hamilton was on track. Imagine trying to win a chess match while blindfolded. That's Ferrari's strategy department in 2025. And then there's the radio exchange that left everyone speechless. Hamilton explicitly told Ferrari, "I don't want to get to a point where I'm ignoring you." Let that sink in. The man who built his reputation on flawless team communication is literally warning Ferrari that he might start ignoring their calls. But that's still not the most shocking part. The real story is far more disturbing. Sources within Ferrari tell me that Hamilton has been having intense strategy meetings, trying to explain to the team that he's not here to start 4th and finish 4th. He's demanding they take risks, gamble on strategy, and be aggressive. Ferrari's response? They keep playing it safe, securing positions instead of fighting for wins. Now, you might think this explains everything. Ferrari's just being conservative, right? Hamilton wants aggression. Ferrari wants points. Classic driver-team tension. But here's what they don't want you to know. This isn't about conservative versus aggressive strategy. This is about a fundamental breakdown in Ferrari's decision-making process that goes back decades. Remember, this is the same team that has had every advantage: unlimited budget, the best drivers, the most resources, and they've consistently failed to deliver championships. The Austria situation proves this perfectly. Both Ferrari drivers were on identical medium-hard-medium strategies. Hamilton begged for a different approach, wanted to offset his strategy from Leclerc's, maybe try a medium-medium-hard combination. Ferrari refused. Why? Because their strategy department doesn't have the confidence to make split-second decisions that could differentiate their drivers. But here's where it gets really concerning. Hamilton isn't just frustrated with race strategy, he's already looking ahead to 2026, working with technical director Loic Serra to ensure the next generation Ferrari incorporates his DNA. That's not normal second season planning. That's a driver who's already concluded that this current Ferrari project is fundamentally flawed. Here's what I'm about to reveal that will change everything you think you know about this Ferrari-Hamilton partnership. Hamilton has been pushing Ferrari toward a complete philosophical shift, and it's creating cracks within the team that go far deeper than strategy calls. When he says, "I never want to do the same thing as my teammate ever," he's not just talking about tire strategy. He's talking about Ferrari's entire approach to racing. The most shocking part? Ferrari's car balance is so fundamentally wrong that Hamilton had to shift his entire setup philosophy toward Leclerc's direction just to be competitive. Think about what that means. The 7-time world champion, who knows exactly how he wants his car to behave, had to abandon his preferences just to stay within a second of his teammate. And here's the insider knowledge that sources within Ferrari don't want public. Hamilton has been telling engineers exactly what not to build into the 2026 car. He's essentially giving Ferrari a blueprint of their current failures. But the question is, are they listening? The GPS failure at Silverstone wasn't just a technical glitch. It was a metaphor for Ferrari's entire operation. They're navigating this championship fight blind, making decisions based on incomplete information and hoping for the best. What happens if this continues? Let me paint you 3 scenarios, and none of them are good for Ferrari. Scenario 1, the worst case. Hamilton continues getting frustrated, starts ignoring team calls during races, and we get a complete breakdown in team communication. Ferrari loses both drivers' trust, falls further behind in the Constructors' Championship, and enters 2026 with a completely fractured team structure. Scenario 2, the mediocre case. Ferrari makes small adjustments, Hamilton gets a few podiums, but they never challenge for championships. We get another decade of "next year is our year," while Mercedes and McLaren continue advancing. But here's scenario 3, and this is the most concerning. Ferrari management doubles down on their current approach, convinces themselves that Hamilton is the problem, and we get another Fernando Alonso situation where a generational talent wastes his prime years fighting against his own team's incompetence. The urgency here is real. We're 18 months away from the 2026 regulation changes. If Ferrari doesn't fix their fundamental decision-making problems now, they'll enter the new era with the same systematic failures that have plagued them for 2 decades. Max Verstappen just admitted Red Bull is not in the fight for championships anymore. McLaren has emerged as the dominant force with both drivers in title contention. Ferrari has every opportunity to capitalize on this shift, but instead, they're making their 7-time world champion call their car unbelievably tricky to drive. This brings us to the questions that will determine Ferrari's future, and I need your thoughts in the comments. First, is Hamilton's frustration justified, or is he expecting too much too soon from Ferrari? Because his radio messages are getting more pointed with each race. Second, with Ferrari's technical director Loic Serra working directly with Hamilton on 2026 car development, are we seeing the beginning of a complete organizational restructure or just desperate damage control? Third, how long before Hamilton's "I don't want to ignore you" warning becomes reality? Because if that happens during a race weekend, it could define both careers. And finally, the most important question: if Ferrari can't get their strategy right with 2 decades of experience and unlimited resources, what makes anyone think 2026 will be different? Here's what I'm watching for in the next few races: Hamilton's radio tone during strategy calls, any changes in Ferrari's pit wall personnel, and whether they finally give Hamilton the offset strategies he's demanding. Drop your predictions in the comments. Do you think Hamilton made the right choice joining Ferrari, or are we watching the beginning of another Ferrari strategic disaster? And here's the real question: if you were Hamilton, would you start ignoring Ferrari's strategy calls? The next few races will tell us everything. Subscribe and hit that bell, because this Ferrari story is just getting started, and what happens next could reshape the entire 2026 grid. Until next time, keep it fast, keep it real, and remember, we're not just watching races, we're witnessing Formula One history in the making.